How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow? Hello, and welcome back to the Blue Trouser Brewery. I'm Owen, and I'm bringing you another grain to glass video. And today I'm going to be brewing a blonde ale. So let's do it. I know we all enjoy a little bit of brew day footage, so here is a few select snippets. I've probably overdone the editing a little bit, but enjoy nonetheless. And it's not just the brew day footage, but also pretty much the whole process end to end of making the beer. And I shall tell you all about how I made said beer after that.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Blonde ale. So this is a light session, easy drinking style of beer. So the recipe itself is the now quite famous, certainly among the homebrew community, vacant gesture. So the vacant gesture from Harrison's Brewery, which I'm sure you've seen many people brew before. It's been on my brew list for ages, absolutely ages, at least 18 months. I just haven't got around to brewing it, but I've just seen so many good reviews of this beer that it just had to get done. As it happens, I ended up brewing this on one of the Brewtools live brew days. As in true style, it seems not very many people brew the actual selected beer now, and generally just brew what they want. But it's a fun day, everyone hangs out and just brews beer and chats beer and all the rest of it, and eventually the drinking starts. I'm normally wrapped up by then. I'm normally one of the guys on at like 6:30, 7 a.m. because I've got young kids. It's hard enough fitting brewing in as it is, so I negotiate an early start, and then I can just get that busted out, done by midday, and then off for an afternoon with the family. But nonetheless, it was a fun brew day. I was using some new equipment, which I'll be covering off in some other some other videos, but for the eagle-eyed of you, you will have noticed perhaps a few of those bits and bobs getting added to the system. So I won't spoil all the videos coming up. So vacant gesture is typically coming in at 4.1% at 1040. It's a relatively simple grist of Marisotto or pale ale malt, white wheat, and a little bit of Cara malt. Or in my case, I used. I'll have to double check what I used. I think I did use Cara malt. And the hopping is bittering with Challenger, and then it's Mosaic in the hop stand, and a double dry hop of Mosaic. Not huge dry hops by any means, or the Whirlpool in fact. It was only 25 grams in the Whirlpool, and then 2 dry hops of about 38 grams each. One I did around 5 days, and the second was for about 2 days. So slightly longer actually duration dry hops than typically I might be used to, but that's what the recipe suggested, and I know Chris at Harrison's Brewery knows his onions, so I shall follow his guidance, and this is actually his recipe, which he very kindly shared with the Brewtube / brewing home brewing community, which was very kind of him. So water profile, I think it was typically quite sulfate heavy. Here it is. So I used RO water and built it up, and I was right. It's just generally a kind of a blonde ale water style from Brewfather, which is it looks like it's about a 2-to-1 sulfate to chloride ratio. Nothing particularly special about that. Brew day went really well, and thanks to the new toys that got added, I achieved some really good efficiency numbers, which was very pleasing. A mash efficiency of 91%, overall efficiency of 81%. I'd actually planned on 75, so the beer actually came in at 4.7%. The beauty of this beer is it dries out really nicely. I think mine came in at 1007. Although I didn't actually use, I used a different yeast. I actually used the Midwestern ale yeast, which is Yeast Bay. It's the Bell's Brewery yeast, reportedly. I really enjoy that yeast. I've used it quite a few times, and I decided that it was a style that probably suited. I think the original recipe uses US-05. Midwestern ale yeast is an American ale yeast, so it does come out pretty clean. It tends to be just a little bit hazier. So here she is. Here's the beer. So yeah, it's come out like really hazy compared to, I think, the original, and where you may have seen other vacant gesture beers. But if anyone knows me, I don't mind a little bit of haze. But actually, I think the Midwestern yeast actually does add a little bit more body, which is great. So it came out 4.7, so it's not as session as perhaps it should have been. One to note when I brew again. So I'm going to dive in. I shall give you a little report. So one thing that really hits me is, as I said, this is a hoppy beer. I did describe it as not being a very hoppy beer, but that's probably because there's not that much hops that went into it. I think by today's standards, shall we say, I think in the past that would have been considered quite a lot of hops for a beer. But you get an amazing aroma from this beer. You can smell the beer from, this far away from your face. And it is a beautifully fruity hopped beer. It's really fresh. I only kegged it just over a week ago. Nearly half the keg's gone already. which I haven't drunk all myself, by the way. I've been sharing the love. But you get a beautiful mango citrus-esque thing going on. Almost like ripe, like a ripe honeydew melon. Almost honey-esque. You get a little bit of cracker. A little bit of cracker coming through. A lovely malt presence there. It's not as carbonated as I'd have probably liked. The head's a little bit non-existent, to be honest. But cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video so far. I'm tucking in. Yeah, that is a really lovely balanced beer. There's great bitterness, just the right level of bitterness that just carries right on through from start to finish. There is a really nice malt presence through there. There's nothing particularly pronounced about the malt. I think the wheat adds a really nice depth to the mouthfeel. I think the yeast choice I went with also adds to that as well. Let me have another go. I take it back. I think carbonation's just right. There's some cracking lacing going on, although there's not a massive amount of head. If you give a little swirl, the head appears nicely. I think the white wheat will be adding to that head retention in the body. What you do notice is it's not a super dry beer, but it's definitely dry. Like, it brings you back for another gulp. I think that combined with the bitterness is a great combo. You know, I think I've drunk Vacant Gesture, the real deal, out the can from Harrison's once or twice, and I remember that being one of the first or almost only beers that I'd got blueberry from Mosaic, which you reportedly can get from Mosaic. It doesn't happen, in my experience, very often. But that was absolutely beautiful. But the hop presence in this beer, considering the amount of hops that is actually going into the recipe, is magic. You know, it's really making me rethink how to hop beers. You know, sometimes less is more. You know, and a good beer is about balance, and this is a well balanced beer. It's disappearing quickly. You know, my good friend Andrew Lynch, over at the High Road Brewery, said to me, Vacant Gesture is a great recipe, and when you brew it, you'll wish you did a double batch, because the first keg will disappear too quickly. And Andrew, I think you're right. I think the next time I brew this beer, and I definitely will be brewing it again, I'll be doing a double batch in there. There's not anything particularly stand out about this beer, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's not one of these statement beers. That's not its intent. It is a beer designed and brewed to be refreshing, pleasant to drink, easy to drink, and you can just crush. You know, you crush 3 or 4 pints of this and be a very happy person. So I guess some chops needs to go to Christopher over at Harrison's Brewery. This is, after all, your recipe, so thank you, Chris. And chops to anyone else that is going to think about brewing this. I will link to the recipe on Brewfather. For anyone that fancies it, I would highly recommend it. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, think about hitting the like and the subscribe button if you aren't a subscriber already. And I shall see you guys next time.